What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. Live on Facebook, live on YouTube as well. Appreciate everybody listening. Little different show today as we're going to have some best ofs, of course, going on at Hoagland Ballpark today. The Super Regionals, Kansas and Oklahoma. We've got coverage of that on social media, Kansas Nation on Facebook, at The Kansas Nation on Twitter and Instagram. Make sure you're staying up to date for that. KU entered the day needing a big comeback in Game 2 of the Super Regionals to force a Game 3. That's the recipe for getting to Omaha. A little bit later on Rock Chalk Sports, we are going to have post-game coverage. You're going to hear from Dan Fitzgerald and KU players at the podium, and we're going to break down Game 2 of the Super Regional, Kansas and Oklahoma. Again, you'll hear from everybody you need to hear for. It's been a great season so far for KU baseball, and in fact, as we kick it and wait for the press conferences, we're going to hear a couple different KU baseball players and their appearances on Hanni and the Hawks, as Brian Hanni has been able to be joined by a slew of KU baseball players throughout this season. What a story it's been, trying to become the winningest KU baseball program of all time and trying to get to Omaha for the College World Series. So all sorts of coverage coming up, but for now, enjoy this KU baseball special episode of Hanni and the Hawks.
Hi, my name is Boede Rahe.
My name is Augusto Mungarrieta, and we feel agradecidos to be a Jayhawk.
Or thankful.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jefferson's, recorded today in our downtown studios at Kansas Nation. Now, if you're watching on YouTube or watching on KansasNation.com, you notice I'm wearing a hat today. I don't normally wear hats, but I'm pretty proud of this particular hat. For those listening on the podcast forum, this is the Big 12 championship hat that our Kansas Jayhawks just earned here in 2026. And we get a chance to talk with two stars of that KU baseball team, the closer who leads the Big 12 in saves, first team all Big 12, and one of the best catchers the Big 12's seen, Augusto Mungarrieta, here with Boede Rahe, that closer I alluded to. Boede, Augusto, great to see you guys. Congratulations on a fantastic season. We hope the best is still yet to come. But, man, what a year this has been. How much fun have you two had?
It's maybe been my favorite season. No, not even maybe. It's been my favorite season of baseball since I started playing, so can't ask for anything better.
That's awesome. Augusto, how about
Yeah,
you?
no, it's been great. I mean, coming from a different country, I feel like this place is just different, and I really enjoy being here. The fan base is awesome here. Coaches are great, so I feel like it's been an unbelievable year.
You mentioned being from Venezuela, and what I love about this group of Jayhawks, because the recruiting map is far and wide. I mean, Matisse is from France, you're from Venezuela. Boede, the best closer in the Big 12, is from just up the road in Marion, Iowa. You're all from different cultures, communities, and backgrounds, and yet it seems like the chemistry in that clubhouse is really special. Boede, what would you elaborate and add to on that?
I think we all just enjoy being together. It's great team culture, and we have a great friendship amongst our team. And I don't know if it probably has a combination to do with all of us coming from similar backgrounds in a sense of junior college and playing at other schools. But honestly, you look at that and you question how a team like that with such different backgrounds could come together. But I think it's the idea of we've experienced the same thing, and that brings us closer instead of pushing us away.
I like that. That's a good answer. You were obviously at Kirkwood for 3 years, Northwest Florida State, the most recent stop for you, Augie. Both of you, what's the growing reputation in the JC ranks of Kansas baseball as a place you can cut your teeth at, break through, and break out at the D1 major conference college level?
Well, personally, I would say it is a really good opportunity to go to junior college because, I mean, I feel you can get some taste of how college baseball is, and you get your playing time, you get your reps in, and then whenever you develop, you feel ready. I mean, people start watching you and seeing what you can do in a baseball field, because if you go out of high school to Division I, it's not for sure you're going to play. So if you go to junior college, get your reps in, show that you can play, develop too, and play in a little rough environment, I feel like it's one of the best decisions I've ever done for my baseball career.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so while you're doing that at Northwest Florida State and posting great numbers, I think 321 batting average, Kansas notices this guy who's a JUCO All-American. John Coyne gets on the phone. Maybe it was Brandon Scott at some point, the pitching coach, but the Jayhawks are calling. You answer. What's your first impression of Kansas at that point? And then what really sold you that this is my next place? We'll start with you, Boede.
I think before actually getting to do my research, they were having an amazing season. I was lucky to be recruited during the springtime, so I got to see it all unfold, and seeing the success that they were having kind of stood out to me. And it's got to be something special going on within the coaching staff to take a bunch of junior college guys and to turn them into now professional players. So that stood out to me, and I think the Kansas baseball is just starting to carry on the name of like a school that just takes a bunch of junior college guys. They take a shot there. You see all these Division I schools who are taking guys in high school and who will live only off those high school guys. And I think Kansas is carrying on that motto of taking the junior college route, and they've been successful at it. So that just stands out to me. There's clearly something going on developmentally wise to get these guys from JUCO to pro within 1 to 2 years.
Totally. So you watched them have this 42-win regular season, the school wins record year, all the way to the regional in Fayetteville, and thought, man, I want a piece of that. And Augie, how about you? What was your first impression?
For me, it was different because I committed in the fall, my sophomore year fall. So Kansas didn't even start with that season. But what basically clicked for me was like how the coaching staff talked to me and all the stuff they wanted to achieve for the season. I felt was the thing that helped me out the most to make my decision, because I don't know, the way that Fix talked to me, the stuff that he wanted me to do, how he wanted me to be the catcher, starting catcher and everything, and the way that our hitting coach Tyler Hancock taught me the stuff he feels I can do in the Big 12, and Kansas has been growing every year too, since Fitz took the job. And when I came here, I saw the facilities, the baseball field, the gym and everything. I saw the coaches that are great, and I was like, this is a good place to develop and grow. And I feel the coaches are doing a great job here with the players. And I don't know, I just saw that Kansas was going up every year, so I was like, wow, I want to help that program to get better. So I made my decision. I'm coming from junior college in Florida. A lot of guys decide to go SEC and schools like that, and coaches told you to do that. But in the fall, I wanted to make my decision early before the season, and I came to KU. I really liked the idea of the coaches and the facilities and everything. And I told Fitz that's right, and I'll be at Jayhawks soon. So that's why I committed here.
And after that commitment, they went to their first regional in 11 years. Then you come on board, and they have an even better season as Big 12 champions. That's pretty cool stuff. In our previous episode with Cade and Tyson, they mentioned that on their recruiting visit, the coaching staff had a projected player comp in mind at the MLB level, looking at their swings and thinking, hey, you could be like this guy. I don't know if there was something similar on your respective visits. If so, do you remember who that player was? And whether you do or you don't, as we sit here today, what would you say about the individual growth you've experienced from the coaching and the playing experience you've gotten at Kansas?
Yeah, so I think when my visit I came on, it was Karinchak of the Guardians and Yasavage, who was just breaking out. This was before he started breaking out, but Yasavage with the arm slot and all that. But I don't think they're player comps, but they're not what you try to build yourself up to, because at the end of the day, we are two completely different people. We might have metrics that align the same, but we're not going to be this cookie cutter build that aligns perfectly. So it's finding a way to maximize your potential with what your body can handle, especially pitching side. Pitching side is really big on that, not trying to replicate exactly what someone else is doing. It's trying to keep that uniqueness, and I think that is what plays the best for me. Is I feel like I'm a very unique pitcher, and that is different for hitters, which helps to bring success.
Let's build off of that for a second. Describe your pitching style for someone that may have not seen it, because while we've got a vibrant fan base, there's probably folks that are just now piling on the bandwagon too. Yeah. So talk about your over-the-top release, what makes you so effective, and then I'd love to hear the guy that's catching your pitches describe what it's like to catch for him.
Yeah, so I don't know what the numbers are exactly. Like I think I've talked briefly with the pitching staff, and it's kind of a 80% of people throw from this 3/4 arm slot, maybe 10, 15 from the lower, and then over top where I'm coming in from is very uncommon. You don't see guys with as high of a release point, or it plays differently. It allows you to get more vertical movement. You're playing more of a y-axis type of pitching approach, and especially this year, we've developed a changeup, which if you're focusing on going fastball up or curveball down, and you see a changeup die off and go in at you, it's just a completely different look. So, just playing off that, continuing to add new pitches when I get the chance. So,
and how's it been working with Coach Scott, in particular, Ryan Holland as well?
It's been awesome. I mean, Coach Scott knows me in and out for pitching. He calls my pitches. He knows exactly what to call in what situation, and we've gotten to the point where even when I'm on the mound, I'm thinking this is the pitch I want to call, and I'll be waiting for in the pitch comment. He'll call exactly what I'm thinking. So we've gotten on that nice little span together, connected in a way. So yeah, that development side, he's awesome. The Snake, or Ryan Holland, he's all over the numbers. He got every single statistic. You can call him up and he could talk for days on every single pitcher on this team. So having guys like that in our corner is amazing for development.
That's awesome. Augie, what's it like catching for Boede, first off, from a pitching tool standpoint? And then secondly, describe his aura when he enters the game in the ninth inning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been catching my whole life, so I'm kind of used to, like, pitchers, like, they have different ways to throw, but I feel like Boede is pretty special because I actually didn't know he had a changeup that actually pretty good, because that's personally one of the best pitch that he has. Personally, I think so. And, I mean, I just know it's pretty good. It's working, so I feel like it's really good. I mean, the way he throws is just a little over the top, and we don't have nobody in the staff that does that. No, but I don't think nobody in the Big 12, I haven't faced a pitcher that does that.
Sure.
Because he's, like, way over the top, and the pitcher is also throwing from a mound that is high. And Boede is, like, I don't know.
6'6"?
6'6". Yeah. So, yeah, like, mound is high, pitcher is 6'6", and throw it over the top of his head. So, he's just a really difficult pitcher to face. And catching, I mean, I just try to do my best to block every pitch that he throws and get everybody out in the base pass. But yeah, I feel like we have a good connection every time he goes pitch and I catch, and hopefully keep it going, you know.
And what I love about Boede, for anybody that's watched or not watched this season, whether it's the last 3 outs you need in the bottom of the ninth or the last 3 innings you need. We saw him go 7, 8, 9 up in Lincoln against the top 20 Husker team. He went 7, 8, 9 inning out there in Provo, and inching closer to a Big 12 championship. He started games for KU this year. Yeah. So, Augie, speak to the gamer that he is. Whatever is required, whether it's final 3 outs or the final 3 innings or the first 3 innings, he's going to bring it.
Yeah, I feel like he's just a competitor, you know, like every play is like, he's just a baseball player that can do whatever the coach needs to do, and that's what everybody wants, you know, somebody that if you needed to start, he's going to start. If you needed to play through 3 innings, if you needed to close the last out, he's going to do it. Like, he doesn't really care whatever the job is. He's just going to go and do it because the only thing he cares is to help the team. So I feel that's great for a guy. Even like Boede, at the beginning of the year, we thought he was going to be your closer. And then they told him, hey, I feel like we need you starting because you're like, it's really hard to hit you. So like, they were like, hey, let's go. Let's start you. And he did really good. But then at the end of the day, we saw that he was like one of like the best closer in the Big 12. So we were like, hey, let's just put you back in the position where you feel the most comfortable at.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, he's just a guy that's trying to help the team. And I feel that's just how it is. Whatever you need, he's gonna try to do it and help the team.
They wound up leading the Big 12 in saves this year. Pretty phenomenal stuff. Forgive me, I'm going to make a basketball reference here, but I think it's apropos. Hall of Fame head coach Bill Self loved Melvin Council so much this year because he said Melvin plays with personality, and everybody else feeds off of it. Would you say Boede pitches with personality?
Yeah.
And if so, how would you describe it?
Yeah, I mean, he's just a guy that just competes too much. Sometimes competes way too much at the end of the games. But, I mean, whenever you're trying to compete to win a game, you don't really think about what you do. So, I mean, he's just a true competitor, and that's great.
And some of the best closers in baseball history are these fiery competitors. Is there any inspiration you draw that from, or is that just your natural personality, Boede?
I honestly think that's just my natural personality. Coming here, I was a starter all my life, so I wasn't really able to unleash this attitude. Like, I had to hold it in, hold these emotions in. So usually, like, if you look back at my junior college, I'd get this fire in maybe like the 6th or the 7th inning when I'm about to get taken out of the game and I know that that's it. But now I've got to get 3 outs, and then I can just let it all out on the mound. Like, I don't need to hold back on my energy. I don't need to, I don't got any more innings to go.
Sure.
So I can just unleash that energy. But no one that I really frame that around. It's kind of just myself and how I act.
Man, it's a ton of fun to watch, no doubt. We've had a blast watching you both this season. Can't wait for what lies ahead. We're going to step aside for our first commercial break. When we come back, more with these two, including their respective upbringings in Venezuela and Iowa. And what's the secret family fuel? And by that I mean something that Mama makes that makes them especially go on game day. We'll talk about that straight ahead on Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jefferson's, right here on Kansas Nation. Welcome back to Hanni and the Hawks, filmed today inside our beautiful Kansas Nation studios. Hanni and the Hawks is brought to you in part by our friends at Construction Specialties. It's Lawrence's home improvement leader, providing high-caliber kitchen and bathroom remodels, plus full-service design and certified Pella window installer. HomeImprovementLawrence.com. Visit them today to find out more. We're catching up with 2 of the stars from KU Baseball's Big 12 championship team. The Big 12's first-team all-conference closer, Boede Rahe, and one of the best catchers in the conference, Augusto Mungarrieta. Guys, we're going to ask you some questions about you personally here in just a bit, but before I dive into that, if I were to ask you to pinpoint one favorite moment from the season, I'm guessing celebrating down the right field line in Provo with your hats and shirts and the Big 12 trophy and all that tops the list. So that's the easy answer. What beyond that would you pick if you had to spotlight favorite moments, either individually or as a team in 2026?
I'd say as a team, I would say Utah. Maybe not my personal favorite game because I don't think I had a very good outing pitching, but the first game, opening series of Utah, where we just hit, what was it, 4 home runs and walked the game off.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Well, for me, pitching, I'd say probably Nebraska at Nebraska. That was an incredible experience.
No doubt. And as I mentioned, he went the 7th inning, the 8th inning, the 9th inning, and this guy had the biggest swings of that game, including the game-winning hit, the go-ahead RBI, all that. Favorite moments for you, Augie?
Well, I would say that when we sweep UCF at home, I feel that was pretty special as a team because that's when we let the whole Division I baseball world know that we won it and we're ready for whoever comes to play us. That doesn't matter if you're ranked or not. We're going to play baseball and we're going to try to do our best to beat you, and we did. And we beat Nebraska Tuesday, and then we sweep UCF, and both teams were ranked and we're unranked. So that was like one of the best weekends that I experienced here since I got here as a team.
I think my call when you clinched was a statement sweep for Kansas because it really was a statement made.
Yeah, it was like because we already had like really good games and really good wins, and we were sweeping everybody and we were winning every game, and so that weekend was like a statement, like we're doing it. We're actually a good team, like everybody take us serious. And personal one, I don't know. I would say I really enjoyed the Nebraska game when we packed it out and everybody was here for us. And I also got hit a homer in the last inning to secure the win, and just like running the bases with all the crowd and everybody just jumping down, throwing beer, throwing waters, and just like stepping on second and looking at all the people just celebrating and everything, because something I did is, I feel like it was a great feeling for me personally.
How great are the fans at Hoagland Ballpark? For folks that don't know, the student section in particular, they get lit.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I mean, you look at all these schools that just pack out the field. Like, you can pull up any SEC team and they're probably packing it out. But the one thing that we have differently is that we have a certain student section right there above the visitor dugout, and it's incredible. Like, we try to bring the energy every single time we're out there in the dugout, and we've realized that when we're at home, we don't need to bring that energy because we have it all coming from the students up in the crowd. Yeah. It's such an incredible environment, and I think the city of Lawrence has been waiting for success to come from a baseball program that now it's here, and everybody wants to hop on it, and it's amazing to get the love from the fans that we've been having this whole year.
Totally. Augie, you're behind home plate, so you're especially close to the stands. What do you hear on game day, and how much do you feed off that energy?
Yeah, the support is awesome. Every time I walk between innings to the plate to get the warm-up pitches, everybody just supporting me. Augie, let's go. Great job. Keep working. You're really tough and stuff like that. You know that just the fans are always there supporting us, and then the student section is just unbelievable. The support that those guys bring every time we play at home is, we feel like I don't know. I just feel like all the support and everything is just awesome for us. That is just a program that is continuing to get better every year, and also the people that comes to our games to support us is just great.
The fans, particularly the students, are unique and special. The coaching is truly special. Dan Fitzgerald, back-to-back Big 12 Coach of the Year. He'll be the first to deflect that praise onto the rest of his staff and onto his players. But how special is he as a leader and this staff as a whole to play for them this past season? How would you describe it?
I mean, he embodies this culture that we've created as a team. He's the most deserving coach of this back-to-back Big 12. I mean, you don't see that very often. Like, usually you'll see first time Big 12 coach and maybe 2 years down the road, but you don't see it back-to-back. And I think it just speaks to how he's helped develop this program and what he's done. I mean, the guy puts in everything. You can't find someone who puts in more to this program than him. And I think that just speaks on his character and how amazing of a coach he is. He's the most personable guy I know, and I think he truly has his heart fully set for this program.
Yeah, first time in 15 years a coach won it in back-to-back years in the Big 12. Augie, what would you say about Coach Fitz?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go back to the first question you asked about how people from different places get along. I just feel like it's just because the way that Coach Fitzgerald tells us every time in the fall, also at the beginning of the year, like, be a good teammate, hold everybody accountable. Mm-hmm. It's just like the way that he tells us to be a good teammate is just, that's why we're so together, because everybody's just following that rule, like the rule to play and to be part of the Kansas Baseball program is being a good teammate. And if you're not a good teammate, you're a former Jayhawk. That's what he's always been saying. So I feel, and also like he's a player coach, I don't know how he is with the pitchers, but with the hitters, he's just always, every time whenever we hit BP, he's just talking to us, talking to me about how Venezuela is, what I like to eat, and stuff like that. How am I feeling? How am I liking it? Especially at the beginning of the year, he comes to me and he say, how do you like the drills? How do you like the place here, the weather, like everything? Like, he's just trying to know how the players are feeling, and like, also if you're having a bad day in the game, he comes talk to you and say, how you feeling? Like, what's going on today? Like, or if you have something bad, he just comes to you and say, hey, you bounce back, you'll be fine. Like, he's always trying to get you to play at the best that you can.
Well said. Good stuff. You mentioned Venezuela. You mentioned him asking, what do you like to eat? I have it on my question sheet. I had a chance to meet both your lovely mothers over the course of the season. Kristen, who made these incredible Oreo deconstructed cookies where, like, you'll have to describe it, but you got the Oreo baked into a chocolate chip cookie. And then your mama, Annabelle.
Yeah.
Annabelle. Annabelle.
Yeah.
The arepas.
Yeah, arepas.
She was in town for 2 weeks with his father, Augusto, which was so cool that they flew 8 hours to be up here.
Yeah.
And I understand those were especially good. So take me inside the kitchens of your respective mothers and the first team All-American or all Venezuelan dishes that they make. Who wants to go first?
You got it.
I think my mom is an amazing cook, even better baker. So I think the best thing for my success in baseball was getting out of the house, because her food was way too good. I would have to get like 3 plates every single time.
Nice.
But no, she would always, at junior college, it's known for like, you get peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you get maybe a granola bar in between games. And I was especially lucky to have my mother go into every single game, bringing tubs of treats and fruits and all this stuff. And coming here, I think the first thing she said when we started games, she was like, "Do you want me to bring treats for the team?" And I'm like, "This is a little different, Mom. We don't need treats in the dugout anymore." I don't know if Fitz would allow a bunch of cookies in the dugout, but yeah. So she started bringing in some post-game treats.
Okay.
We'll allow those. We get some post-game treats, and they taste even better when we get a win.
Yep.
And she brought these. They're chocolate. It's a chocolate chip cookie, but it's like a Preston Oreo, and it's baked together, so the Oreo kind of melts through. And it was maybe I think it was the favorite amongst the team. I think everybody chose that one.
It's
over all the other treats that she brought.
And we're showing a picture of it on the screen right now. You can see how the white icing, as you said, kind of melts into the chocolate chip cookie, but you've got the top and bottom layers of the Oreo, top and bottom on the chocolate chip. Incredible. I had like 3 of them. It was amazing. And with a 45-year-old metabolism, I don't need 3 of them, but they were awesome.
She would want me to add, that was not her original recipe either, because someone else at my junior college's mother brought them first, but she is the one who brought them to the University of Kansas. So now everybody here knows about them. So she spread it. She spread it out. She'd love for me to add that.
That's fantastic. Kristen, you're awesome. Okay. Tell me about Annabelle and the arepas and what makes them so special, because I understand back home this is a super popular Venezuelan dish.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like a really special dish, but it's just everyday thing in Venezuela, and it's, personally for me, it's so good, and it's just so easy to make back home. I mean, probably here is different because you guys don't have it as a first dish, but in Venezuela, especially for the people back then, because all the stuff that we're going through, that thing costs like $1, and it's like a pound of flour, corn flour, and you just mix it with water and salt, and then you got the dough, and then you put it in a hot pan with a little oil. You make it like a circle of it, and then you put it in a pan, and then put it side to side. Whenever they're done, you open it, put some butter on it, cheese, and you can fill it with anything you want. Yeah, like you can put chicken, ground beef, steak. You can make a veggie one if you want.
Okay.
You can put anything you want. Like sometimes it's really famous because some people like do the lunch, and then whatever is rest, like for example, if there is extra chicken from the lunch and extra ground beef from the lunch, at night you just make that corn, like make that arepas, and then you just fill it out with whatever was rest for the lunch, and then you put some cheese on it, and then you got the meal. And it was great because my parents never seen me playing college baseball in the United States, so when I got to KU, I got to Brighton for this season, these past 2 weeks when we play Arizona and West Virginia, and it was just great because my mom got to make it to the hall. Like some of the guys that like 25 guys came to the house, and then she made it for all the guys, and she made a chicken, ham, cheese, ground beef, like, and it was just a great time to hang out with the boys, and also like just to let them know what's the culture where I'm from, but
That's fantastic.
they're just great, easy to make, and really delicious. But personally, I really love them.
I know Tyson's family had the crawfish boil and some jambalaya when you were down at McNeese State. Great to hear that the Mungarrieta family was serving up some Venezuela stuff. What's your favorite filling? You mentioned chicken, ham, beef. What's the go-to?
I would say ground beef with cheese, but also like it depends because I eat them in the morning too. In the morning, you just eat it with eggs. There's a pretty famous eggs, like type of eggs in Venezuela. It's called perico. That you just put it with, it's like onion, tomatoes, and eggs, and you just like mix it up and you just make that, and then you just put it with that and cheese, and you put some black beans too with it if you want to. And that's just the breakfast one. That's my favorite for breakfast one, and for lunch, I would say the ground beef and cheese.
Good stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, great.
We eat a lot. We eat it every day, bro. Like,
Great to hear.
I eat that dish with any type of meat or any type of like ground beef, chicken, everything. Any type of stuff, you just put it inside that and you put cheese on it. It's good.
Good stuff.
Yep.
I think Salvador Perez, another great Venezuelan catcher, would agree on how great the arepas are.
Oh, for sure.
And we're going to talk about Salvi when we come back, as well as baseball influences. We close it down with some fun questions right after this. It's Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jefferson's on Kansas Nation. Welcome back to Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jefferson's. We are live today from inside the Kansas Nation studios and wrapping it up as we always do with 3 or 4 quick questions that are more fun and getting to know you base type stuff. We referenced flavors from back home. I want to know about original influences as you were growing up as baseball players or young sports fans, whatever it may be. I know Salvador Perez is a favorite of yours, and we'll get to the Salvi story in particular in a second, Augusto. But was Yadier Molina more of an influence or inspiration early on?
I mean, yeah, because, I mean, Salvi and Yadier Molina, they're just two guys that always been in the game for so long, and I always watch the way that they play and everything. And Salvi is from Venezuela and everything. I also watch him growing up. I mean, 2015 World Series, I watched the whole thing with my dad growing up, and 2014 with the Giants too. Like, he's just a person I always watch and follow whatever he does. But Yadier Molina is just a player that kind of looks more like me, like the height and the defense too. Like, growing up, they always told me that defense for a catcher is the most important thing that he has to have. So growing up, I always look the way that Yadier Molina calls the game too. He's like a leader behind the plate too, leading the pitchers and everything. And I just feel like I feel more like identify like with the way he plays the game. But both catchers are really good, and both catchers teach me a lot of stuff than what I do right now.
And I know you've met Salvi once before when you were really young.
Yeah.
His second meeting is coming.
Yeah.
We had a chance to have a KU fan that's a regular at Hawk Talk, Colin Couch, make a reminder conversation, I guess, with Salvi about Augusto Mungarrieta, the fact that there's another Venezuelan catcher 45 minutes down the road in Lawrence, and Salvi has invited Augusto and his family to come to a game once the postseason run is done, hopefully deep into the month of June. But that all happened because of Colin Couch, a great KU baseball fan who made sure Salvi was reminded of the fact that there's 2 great Venezuelan catchers.
In case.
That's right, baby. We love that.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna make it.
That's awesome. No, that's awesome. Yeah.
We love that.
I met him when I was a kid. He probably doesn't remember that. He signed my glove in Firestone. It's like a place where he grew up playing, and then there's a lot of tournaments growing up there.
Yeah.
He went to watch one of my games, and I asked him to sign my glove, and then I keep using that glove, and that sign just run like the sign
autograph faded.
Yeah,
Like special powers.
But yeah, probably. I mean, he's just a great player, and also representing us in the World Baseball Classic. He's just really good Venezuelan baseball player that he'd be in the history, you know.
Can't wait to get you two together.
Can't wait to meet him, yeah.
That's going to be really cool. Boede, what about you? Who were some of your influences growing up as a kid? And also being from Marion, Iowa, that's not too far down the road from the original Field of Dreams field. So did you ever have a chance to experience that?
Yeah, so my dad always got me into baseball. He was the one that kept me going. He played at a junior college, and then he went on to play. And he actually played at my junior college that I went to, Kirkwood. He played there for 2 years, and then he went on to play NAIA baseball in my hometown. And he always instilled that, like, passion for baseball, also basketball, but baseball mostly. That's what stuck with me. And Field of Dreams, actually, I mean, when you think of Iowa and baseball, that's probably the only thing that you think about besides corn. So Field of Dreams is awesome. It's in Dyersville, Iowa, and that's actually where my dad's side of the family grew up. So I've been able to experience the Field of Dreams, and I think it was maybe the coolest thing when they started doing exhibitions.
Yeah.
Now at the Field of Dreams, like the amount of influence and that it brings to Iowa, I think is amazing. And Iowa's been waiting for kind of this baseball influence to come in. They only have one Division I baseball school. They have a couple minor league teams, but at the end of the day, there's not much sports world going on in Iowa much. So to see that exhibition and that influence and recognition going into the state of Iowa was just awesome experience.
Really cool. I would love to experience it one day. It's on my bucket list. It's great to hear that you've had a chance to many times. That's awesome. All right, on our final 4 questions here, our fast break, as we like to call it, these are just lighthearted stuff. I asked the guys last week when Tyson and Cade were here a couple of questions about the team in general. Who's the funniest guy on the team? Who's going to be the biggest success away from baseball, as in life or in a career? Similar vein, but a different kind of question for each of you. As you think about the roster, a hidden talent. Who's got a hidden talent that's not baseball related, but it could be anything? Who on the team comes to mind with a hidden talent that's not athletic?
He got it.
Okay, so a lot of people don't know this. It's very random, and it's a weird pitcher superstition.
Okay.
But Aiden Klein, every time before he goes in to pitch, he has to juggle. Like, it's a superstition of his. You'll just look down in the bullpen, and they'll be calling down there, hey, is Aiden ready to go? And he's just sitting there juggling baseballs because that's his superstition. So that's his hidden talent. I'll give it to him for that. Weird hidden talent, Aiden Klein.
3, 4, how many balls are we talking?
Usually it's only 3, but I have seen him get 4 or 5. Wow. So he's pretty good at what he does.
Okay. Augie, can you think of anybody with hidden talent? Could be a great dancer in the locker room, freestyle rapper, singer.
I don't know. I would say I went the other day with Tyson, LeBlanc, and Kay fishing, and I would say Kate and Tyson, especially Kate, and his ability to fish is pretty good.
Yeah.
I never fished like the way they do, like in a pond, just fishing just for fun and throwing the fish back and forward. I've never done that, and I feel like Kate's pretty good at that, but I can't remember. Let's skip up one right now.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I feel like that's a good one.
The folks on last week's episode saw the gigantic fish that they caught in the locker room.
I feel like Kate is just, especially hunting and like outdoor stuff.
Yeah.
He's pretty good at that. So.
Yeah, I live with Cade, so I didn't get to see it, but I got to eat it.
Oh, did you?
To cook it up for him.
Fantastic. All right. Very good.
Yes.
Okay. Careers beyond baseball. Obviously, you both want to play the game for a long time.
Yes, sir.
But I know you're a 4.0 student as a civil engineering major, and you both have aspirations beyond baseball one day. So answer for yourself what life after baseball could look like. And then if you could pick a career for the other guy that you think he'd be really good at, what would that be? But first off, serious question. Life after baseball, what would it be?
So my older brother is a civil engineer, which made me want to be a civil engineer. So that would be my background. I'd like to go join a firm and get experience there as I pursue my professional engineering license.
Okay.
And then eventually, hopefully, I become so good at it that I can work it remote and do whatever I want and travel. So I'd love to travel.
And travel. Good answer. Okay, Augie, what about you? After baseball one day, you want to do what?
Let me think about it. Growing up, my parents, they're both accounting.
Okay.
I don't know if I will do that, but my dad also had like a small business helping kids to play professional baseball. And like, if they don't play professional baseball, he tries to send them. Everything started when I left, and we saw that there is a big war of college baseball here, and there's a lot of kids with talent in Venezuela that they just, after they don't sign with 16-year-olds, they just drop out of baseball and drop out of school, and they just do work in Venezuela. And I felt like there is a big war here of college baseball, that those kids that they're not fully developed at 16-year-old, they can just come to college when they were 18, and they just develop for 4 years and even sign with MLB. So I don't know right now, but I feel like whenever I'm done with baseball and stuff, I would like to make like a firm or company would help all those kids to, like, teach them English, like show them there is another world outside just baseball, signing with 16-year-olds in Venezuela. There is college, there is career, there is knowledge. Like, school is important too. Some of those kids, they just drop out of school just to go play baseball and sign with 16-year-olds. So I don't know. I would like to make a company. I did it for one of my classes, a thesis, talking about how I want to help, like, to solve a problem, and that was the problem that I wanted to solve. So I feel like I would like to help some kids to do that growing, like, when I'm done with baseball in Venezuela, teach them there is another world besides just signing 16-year-old, yeah.
I love that ambition.
Yes.
Okay, for each other, what career would you pick for Boede after baseball one day? You can't say civil engineering. And then Boede, what do you think he'd be good at beyond coaching and working with kids?
I would say he can be a chef.
A chef. I hear he loves to cook.
Yeah, he cooked for me one time. It's pretty good, and he loves to do it. He loves doing the dishes. He loves doing everything that is related to the kitchen.
Yeah, that's on your bio. You love to cook.
Yeah.
What kind of chef would he be?
He'd be like a lunch chef, like pasta and stuff like that, I would say.
Like what kind of?
Like pasta.
Pastas. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. Very good. You accept that answer, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. I'd love to do that. I think for Augie, I don't know if this is an industry, but if it was, he would definitely be a part of it, the professional scootering industry, because Augie cannot drive, and he has a scooter, and I feel like every time I'm driving down the road, I see him ride his scooter across.
Yeah. It's just pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Didn't have a scooter my freshman or sophomore year. Then I got to KU, and then I just got greedy. I stopped being greedy, and I bought a scooter.
Yep.
I just ride it everywhere I go, and sometimes I'm bored in my house, and I just go ride a scooter around campus just to kill some time.
It doesn't catch a break. He's taking full advantage of that scooter.
That's fantastic.
Oh, it's really fun.
I love it. For the last question, give you a visual. You're stuck on an airplane for an international flight, and Bode's got the window seats, Augie's got the aisle seats, and Elijah, you want to be my visual here? This is our outstanding producer. You're stuck with this guy plopped down in the middle of the couch. He's not going to come over. He's camera shy. You don't have to if you don't want to. You don't want in. Come on. He won't fit on the camera. Okay. He's a humble guy. He's a good-looking guy. But one teammate, you got to be stuck with this guy on an international flight. Maybe you're flying back to Venezuela. You got to go from here to Florida, then 5 more hours to Venezuela. But you're good with him being in the middle seat because he's got great conversation, good personal hygiene. You don't mind being stuck next to him for 8 hours. Who do you want occupying that middle seat on the Kansas baseball roster?
Say Ty Thompson. He's his roommate, and he's pretty cool. He's fun to talk. We play my freshman year junior college. I played in Minnesota. And his junior college that he played his freshman year, he also transferred both years like I did. I played in 3 schools, 3 years. And I don't know, I really have fun talking to him and his roommate, so that would be my guess.
Okay. Boede, you can't answer your roommate. Who would you say?
I'm going to expand on this answer, too. So
Okay.
Someone that I would be fine sitting next to us is Cade Baldridge, because he is the shortest player on the team. He'll be fine.
Yeah.
Funny story. Me and Ty and Cade all lived together. We got our first picture with Cade this weekend when we won since being roommates, because he refused to be in a picture with 2 guys that were 6'6".
Yeah.
And to expand on that,
That's great.
the one player that I would not let sit between us is Caleb Deere, because he is way too big.
That's a big boy.
There's no chance we both fit there.
He's also 6'6", 6'7",
Yeah.
big boy for sure. And you used to play some basketball, right?
I did.
And pretty good, right?
I try. I still get over this. You're going to see me probably shooting in Allen Fieldhouse this summer. Don't worry.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, you guys have made us so proud all season long. Can't wait to follow your careers throughout the rest of your time as Jayhawks and beyond. Thank you for coming on today. Keep representing us so well. We're so proud of each of you.
Yes, sir. Well,
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Boede,
Appreciate
Rahe, Augusto, Mungarrieta. I want some arepas from Venezuela. Let's get some of that. It's not monster.
Yes, sir.
She's coming back if you go to Omaha. So
Yeah.
You got to get some of those, more of those special Oreo chocolate chip cookies.
Don't worry about that.
I'm telling you guys, as much as we love Jeffersons on this show, we love those the most of anything we've had all year. This has been Hanni and the Hawks, presented by Jeffersons, right here on Kansas Nation.
And Boede, Rahe, Sean Kellerman back here. Getting your Monday going. A little bit of a different show today, of course, because of the game that took place earlier at Hoagland Ballpark, a game that didn't go KU's way. We're going to get into that here in the opening segment as the Jayhawks baseball season, a historic baseball season, comes to a close. Dan Courtwright is out. He is on his honeymoon, and boy, do I have some stories from the wedding that was. It was really entertaining, and our very own Elijah Schmidt, who's our technical director with us here today, was a part of that. And yeah, good stories, but congratulations to my co-host Dan and to Piper, who right now are having beers on a beach in Cancun. So if you're in the Cancun greater area, see if you can't find him and tell him that we miss him over on Rock Chalk Sports. So he'll be out this week soaking in the sun, and I'll be taking you through. Got a lot of fun shows planned for you. Going to have special guests, some familiar faces that you'll see as the week goes on. Nick Springer, Kansas City Sports Network, will be in tomorrow, and very exciting, Nick will be joining us for a Top 10 Tuesday in honor of Mr. Courtwright. We'll make sure that we get that in. We've got a lot of content as well that we need to get into, some news regarding Brendan Sorsby, the Texas Tech quarterback, as he evidently is going to be playing despite the gambling that he admitted to during his time at Indiana. A lot to get to, some national stories, but Texas Tech has their guy, and he'll be suited up for 2026. So that's a big story to get to. Certainly, we're going to be filtering in some KU basketball talk, some KU football chatter as well. David Lawrence will be joining the show later this week. On Thursday, we'll get a position group breakdown with my co-host on the Jayhawk Radio Network for men's basketball, David Lawrence. Talking football for a former Jayhawk captain. That's his number one thing to do. So we'll look at the roster, the offensive side, the defensive side, where DL thinks KU's in a really good spot, where he thinks there's a grouping of guys that he needs to see some things from, need to prove themselves a little bit, and certainly get an outlook as a whole on KU football. As officially with KU baseball losing, we're in the off season right now, and we're setting our sights on September 4th when Kansas football takes on Long Island. Once that happens, we're going to be in the thick of it with football and baseball. Of course, tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World. Caught up with Henry a little bit earlier today over at Hoagland Ballpark, as he has great coverage as well. KUSports.com, LJWorld.com. Friend of the show. He'll be joining us for the KU mailbag segment in addition to his other segment as well, where he gives his thoughts on KU baseball as a whole, and certainly moving forward, other storylines that are perhaps adjacent to KU athletics, but storylines that we'll speak of nonetheless. The basketball tournament is on there. We'll talk Kansas City Royals as well. David Lesky from Inside the Crown will be on the show, and we'll also be joined a little bit later in the week from our Friday guest, Shreyas Laddha, Kansas City Star. We'll try to make sure we get you the best content for all things KU, even though we got a little bit of a one-man show here moving forward the rest of the week. Summertime, got some vacations, and if you're Dan Courtwright, the first of 2 honeymoons for him. He says that it's not 2 honeymoons, but they kind of, through his now wife's work, rolled into this Cancun thing when they're planning on going to London for Jayhawk football. So I will see how I feel about that. I've got some trips planned as well, so you'll see not quite as many shows with both me and Dan here in the summertime as we gear up before busy season starts, but hope you guys enjoy the show nonetheless, and thanks for sticking with us here on Rock Chalk Sports. We are talking KU baseball here in the opening segment. It was a 13-2 setback that ended Kansas' season. We're going to hear from Dan Fitzgerald and KU players at the podium post-game as Coach Fitz was joined by Boede Rahe, who started this game, if you will, started the resumption of Game 2 of the Super Regionals, and man, he gave everything he had. Let's put it that way. Boede Rahe, a guy who's used to coming in for 1, maybe 2 innings, went 3+ innings, ended up giving up a couple homers officially in this one, but he gave Kansas offense a chance. They just weren't able to get anything going. Tyson LeBlanc had the only hits today for Kansas after the game resumed in the bottom of the 3rd inning, as it wasn't until the bottom of the 8th KU got a hit, and it was LeBlanc hitting his 25th home run of the season, extending his personal record and the record for any single season player at KU. 25 tanks for LeBlanc. We're going to hear from him. Also, they made Dom Vagley available to the media as well, which I thought was really nice. Dom Vagley pitched, of course, against Oklahoma in the opener on Saturday. Junior at KU, he has another year of eligibility, but he, along with Tyson LeBlanc and a lot of other guys on this Kansas team, likely to head to the MLB draft because they're likely to be very high picks. So I was glad to see Vagley, even though he didn't play in Part 1 or Part 2 of this game against Oklahoma, be made available to the media. We'll close out the show doing a little bit of a whip around. I mentioned the Sorsby article, but want to catch you up to date on the Royals as well. Royals actually had a sneaky good road trip. They found a way to win a couple series at Cincinnati and at Minnesota. We talked about this last week with David Lesky and said, hey, if there was a time for the Royals to go on a run, it's now, because you're facing a lot of middling teams. Does it qualify as a run? I don't know, but it's still, you've won 5 of 7 games. So keep you up to date on the upcoming schedule as well for the Royals. And again, make sure that you are tuned in tomorrow when David Lesky joins the show. Bobby Witt Jr. left the game yesterday with knee soreness. We hope that he'll be back, but the two-time All-Star had gone 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts before he was removed from the game. Still hitting .280. He's going to be an All-Star again this year. 9 homers, 27 batted in, 23 steals. It goes without saying the Royals need Bobby Witt Jr. healthy. Not a guy who's had to deal with a lot from an injury, from an adversity standpoint in his Royals career, but that's something that oftentimes will unfortunately show its head in a lot of these sports that we love so much. Also going to look at the NBA Finals. Game 3 tonight. It's at Madison Square Garden. This is classic stock market stuff, as Dan would say, but I saw something on social media where a 22-year-old Knicks fan has committed to saying Jalen Brunson's name 100,000 times today. I don't really know who came up with that idea, but he continuously said Jalen Brunson and had a ticker on his computer. So not only is he saying Jalen Brunson's name 100,000 times a day, but he is also hitting the space bar 100,000 times a day to keep that ticker up. I think the clip that I saw, it was about 39,000. So we'll check in on him and see if we can get any other information on that front. But realistically, it's the Spurs that are up against it. San Antonio Spurs were the odds-on favorite to win the NBA Finals, and they found a way to lose each of the first 2 games at home. So the Knicks are now minus 500 to win the NBA Finals, something they haven't done since 1973. Right now, in terms of tonight's game, the Knicks are slight favorites at home. They're minus 1.5. Good thing Dan's not here to pick that. He still doesn't know what to do on a 1.5 line. Over-under is 216.5. I'll give some thoughts on that, maybe some player props a little bit later as the Spurs look for some semblance of hope, some jolt of energy as they try to win an NBA championship with a very young, very talented roster. Before we get into KU baseball, I want to shout out Miles Schneer and his team over at Crown Automotive on South Iowa in Lawrence. If you're shopping new, if you're shopping used, Crown Automotive is the place to go. They've got a great selection, fantastic sales and service staff, and there's a reason that Miles Schneer was named the Lawrence Citizen of the Year. Really appreciate their partnership. The founding partners helping us get up on our feet here at Kansas Nation. CrownAutomotive.com if you're not local, but please, if you are local, go give them a visit. They'll figure out what you need in terms of your vehicles. They'll take a look at your lifestyle as a whole and get you in the correct vehicle. When you get over there, please tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. We really appreciate that. All right, 13-2. Let's get into this over at Hoagland Ballpark. Weird situation last night where Kansas got down early and it looked like it was going to be a tough one. Ends up being a tough one. Game 1 on Saturday, Oklahoma wins 8-1. Kansas just didn't look like themselves as the Jayhawks had committed some errors. Dom Vagley wasn't quite as sharp as he generally is, and the Hawks end up falling, as I said, 8-1. So that put them behind the 8 ball heading into Sunday, searching for some offense. This is a Kansas team that, as I said, they've set many records on the offensive side, and it just was nowhere to be found Saturday, Sunday, or Monday this weekend. Take a look at the beginning of the game, which was the first about 2.5 innings that were played yesterday. First of all, there was a long rain delay, about 2.5 hours. A game scheduled for a 5 p.m. first pitch didn't actually get underway until about 7:30 last night. So it's already getting dark. It's muggy. There's storms in the area. Media members and players alike are sweating, and fans are out there, and they're embracing it. Saw great groupings of Kansas Jayhawk baseball fans, despite the unfortunate incident that happened during the game on Saturday with Kansas just not being ready to play and Oklahoma being sharper. The KU fans had the right mindset. They were out there thinking, all right, let's win this one, force a Game 3 on Monday, and try to punch our ticket to the College World Series. It just didn't happen. Kansas got off to that bad start, After Oklahoma scored a run, Kansas would then score a run of their own in the top of the second inning. Very strange deal, and I don't like it. Kansas was the visiting team in Game 2 of the Super Regionals. They were the home team officially, but as the visiting team, they batted in the top half of innings in Game 2 of the Super Regionals. I get that for a regional setting where you have a pod of 4 groupings. I don't understand how Kansas isn't the home team throughout the Super Regionals. You've proven it. You've earned it. You're the higher-seeded team than Oklahoma. I don't care how many games this takes. It's a best of 3. The home team, the team that earned it, if you're going to play on campus, should be the team that bats in the bottom half of the inning. That's not why Kansas lost, but very curious to see if that ever changes because it was awfully strange seeing KU bat in the top half and be the visiting teams. That being said, Jordan Bach had an RBI single in the top of the second, and that knotted this game at 1-1. You're thinking, all right, the energy's here. The fans were fantastic. We had an opportunity actually to catch up with both James Winchester and Drew Tranquill of the Kansas City Chiefs. They were in attendance. Got a photo of those guys on our socials at the Kansas Nation and Kansas Nation on Facebook. They were out there. I had a conversation with Winchester, who went to Oklahoma, and I said, who are you cheering for? And he said, well, I'm torn because my understanding was he's friends with Tyler Hancock, the third base coach for Kansas baseball. He said he was torn, and Drew Tranquill said, all Hawks, baby. Unfortunately, didn't go well for Hawks fans as the bottom of the second was a disaster for Kansas. Sooners took back the lead for 6 runs, took a commanding 7-1 lead, and then Dan Fitzgerald had to go to his closer. When you look at what happened in that second inning, it was Mason Cook really not being effective, not being efficient. There was a bunt single that also resulted in an error from Mason Cook. He didn't field the ball cleanly. Some of the same defensive gaffes that we saw in the game that led to Kansas' demise on Saturday. Focus just wasn't quite there. The crispness wasn't quite there. Cook had to be lifted. It was 3-1 OU. The bases were loaded with 1 out, and Dan Fitzgerald turned to his second-best reliever, Ryan Ritter. Ritter had a tough go of it as well, as all 3 inherited runners scored, as did another run. And as I said, it was 7-1 Oklahoma. Kansas couldn't score in the top half of the third, and then in the bottom of the third, KU, of course, having no idea that this thing was going to go into a delay, turned to Boede Rahe. This is something you see often in college, particularly in win or go home scenarios. Managers will go to their closer because that's the best arm. Coach Fitz trying to give his offense a chance, an extended chance at getting back in this one, goes to Rahe early. And Rahe, as I said, isn't a guy who's limited to just 1 or 2 innings necessarily. He can go, as we saw today, stretch out 3-4 innings. But Rahe gave up a home run to Dayton Taki, who was the hero for Oklahoma, walking off Georgia Tech in the regionals. And it was 8-1. Very shortly after, weather moved into play, and it was an extended delay. We were waiting at Hoagland Ballpark for at least a couple hours before they announced that indeed the game would be pushed to today, resumed. On one hand, understand that Kansas at this time was down by a score of 8-1. So you didn't feel great going to bed last night. On the other hand, you had Boede Rahe. You burned him. If the weather would have played out to where Kansas could have gone back out there, Oklahoma gone back out there. If KU had gone back out there, I'm not so sure that after 2 hours you'd feel comfortable sending Rahe back out there. And then you'd really be bummed, for lack of a better way of putting it, because you would have burned both Ritter and Rahe, your best 2 relievers. And now you had to go through. I think it worked in Kansas' favor, the fact that they pushed the game to today, at least in theory, because you could use Rahe as your quasi-starter today. Unfortunately, it just did not work out. As Boede went in, he threw up a couple zeros before giving up a 2-run homer. After that 2-run homer, it was 10-1. Story was KU not having any offense at all. This game eventually got to 12-1. Desan Harris of Oklahoma hit a 2-run homer off Toby Scheidt. There was another homer off the bat of Trey Gamble later in the game off of Kansas righty Matisse Nayral. That made it 13-2. The only reason Kansas had 2 was that homer from LeBlanc, which again was the only hit that KU had. Not as many fans out there today, understandably so, with the big deficit, with it being in the middle of a day on a Monday, but there was a decent showing still of KU supporters and certainly of OU supporters over at Hoagland Ballpark. But Kansas couldn't get any momentum to get the Jayhawks fans on their side. So Oklahoma wins it 13-2, and the record-breaking season for KU baseball ends in the Lawrence Super Regional. Jayhawks this season will go through some of the numbers, some of the things that Coach Fitz said, which you'll hear a little bit later. But kind of to recap it, Oklahoma, they improved to 38-22. They actually are the final team to punch their ticket to Omaha. So KU was essentially the 9th team, as 8 teams are going to Omaha. The rest of the field had been decided by the time this one was over. Kansas, with the loss, finished the year tying the school record with 45 wins. You would have loved at least one more to say that they were the best team in Kansas baseball history. But you have 45 wins. That ties a team of Kansas past, and certainly they didn't quite get to College World Series. Now, when the 93 team went to the College World Series, that team was participating in a 48-team field, so there was no Super Regional round, which is why we've said this is the first time Kansas ever advances to the Super Regional. That's still true. They've still just been to the College World Series once, but certainly on this trajectory, they could definitely make another appearance. But first time ever hosting a regional, first time ever hosting a Super Regional. It was really cool seeing Lawrence Regional, Lawrence Super Regional. It just did not work out, as Oklahoma is playing really good baseball. And as Ryan Lefevre, the Royals broadcaster, often says, sometimes it's not necessarily the record of the team you're playing or how good they are on paper. It's how well they are playing when you face them. Oklahoma looks like a team that's locked in and certainly going to be in the conversation to win a national championship. They're going to be taking on Alabama in their first game of the College World Series. So that'll be exciting to watch. LeBlanc post-game talked about how a lot of respect for the Oklahoma program, and they played really well. And shout out a couple of the individuals for OU, not just offensively, some of the guys that I highlighted, but on the mound, that's what won it for Oklahoma. Xander Mercurius, who started this game yesterday, went 3 innings. He was really tough to hit. He came back out and pitched another inning today and even pitched into the 5th. Ultimately was pulled with a line of 4 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, 6 strikeouts. Then Oklahoma went to Nate Smithberg, who had pitched fewer than 20 innings all year, and the side slinger went 3 2/3, gave up just 1 run. That was the LeBlanc homer, of course. He struck out 2. Jason Boede and Jackson Cleveland closed it out for OU. But the pitchers that appeared throughout this Super Regional for Oklahoma really made their presence known. And that was the big story. Kansas scored 3 total runs in the 2 games in this Super Regional. Not something that we're used to seeing. And then the Oklahoma bats, of course, got going. And like I said, they are very, very hot. So would not be surprised to see them make some noise in the College World Series. That begins on Friday and could go as long as about a week and a half. So tough way for the season to end, but still a lot of incredible moments of this season. KU ends 45-18 on the season. They tied the school record with that 93 team, as I said, with 45 wins. KU also blasted the single-season home run record. I guess it wasn't blasted. Last year, they blasted it. Last year, Kansas had 104 homers. The previous high before last season was 75. This year, they surpassed 104. They have 112 home runs, a new school record. LeBlanc hit his 25th homer. That extended his single-season record. He is comfortably atop the single-season record for KU baseball. And then, of course, Dominic Vegley as well. He set the single-season strikeout record for Kansas. So a lot to remember in a good light for KU baseball in 2026. You hate the fact that you were 2 wins away from the College World Series and couldn't get it done. At the same time, like I said, very, very proud of this team. If you go back to the beginning of the season, KU actually lost their opener against UTRGV, which, maybe people look and say, oh, that's a mid-major program, not a Power 4 program. That's a bad loss. Coach Fitz, I remember explicitly, he said after the series, that's a really good program. KU would bounce back, and they won the next 2. So they started 2-1. Of course, they had that long undefeated stretch at the beginning of 2025. KU then lost a midweek to Lamar. So 2-2 was Kansas before they took on McNeese, and they had a really good series against McNeese, swept them. They were 5-2 all of a sudden, and then they went to US Bank Stadium and split 4 with Minnesota. So at that time, Kansas was 7-4. They had 3 wins over St. Thomas before losing via run rule in the final game So Kansas still felt okay about their non-conference record. An absolutely brutal start to conference play after the 10-5 non-con. KU lost to TCU. That game was technically a non-conference game, I should say. They lost to TCU in a weird midweek game, 9-4, before officially starting conference play against Texas Tech. Tech got KU 11-4 and then 10-9, a heartbreaker for Kansas. But then in the finale, this is a game that a lot of players and people around the program point to as what turned the season around for KU, because 10-8 is not exactly a sparkly record for a program that many thought was, top 5 tier in the Big 12. Kansas won 18-7 in that game. Dariel Osoria got going, and it was a run rule situation that improved Kansas to 11-8. You had all sorts of guys filling up the box score with 18 runs. You got a home run from Osoria, Cade Baldridge, Josh Dykoff, Augusto Mungarrieta, and Kansas had a little bit of momentum as they improved to 11-8. A feel-good shutout drubbing of Mizzou at Hoagland Ballpark made Kansas 12-8, and then you started to see the ball rolling. A sweep of Houston at home. KU was 15-8. The Hawks would split with Sac State before winning a series at home against Cincinnati. They took 2 of 3. Another victory over Mizzou. Can't stress that enough. KU this season against Nebraska, Mizzou, and K-State went 7-0. Kansas then swept Utah in a ridiculously high-scoring series, 14-9, 14-12, and 13-9. There was a little bit of concern. Okay, we can score. Are we going to be able to pitch? And that's about when Dom Vagley started becoming Dom Vagley again. Kansas beats Nebraska in that low-scoring affair, 5-3, and then spearheaded by Vagley's strong outing against UCF, who was at the time atop the Big 12 standings. Kansas swept the Golden Knights, all in low-scoring affairs here at Hoagland Ballpark. Kansas then would beat Wichita State. They then went to Oklahoma State, a perennial power in college baseball. And despite losing Vagley's outing, where he struck out 15, Kansas would win Saturday and Sunday. They won 2 of 3. Another victory over a top 20 Nebraska team before sweeping K-State and then coming home, sweeping Arizona. And all those sweeps, they add up. Kansas was so close to clinching the Big 12 title. You had the rough stretch where you lost the midweek to Creighton in a non-con game, beginning of May, and then you lost to West Virginia 3 in a row, got swept by the Mountaineers when you needed one to feel good about your chances of winning the Big 12 regular season title. It didn't go well, but KU bounced back on the road. They defeated a solid BYU team 9-6 on May 14th, and then on May 15th, 7-6, Kansas clinched the outright Big 12 championship, a huge home run from Tyson Owens in that clincher. BYU would get KU after everything was already clinched in the finale, 5-4 in 11 innings. But that set us up for postseason. After Kansas won its first conference title in terms of regular season since 1949, 77 years without a conference championship, KU baseball got it done this season. Then you headed to Surprise Stadium, Surprise, Arizona. Kansas looking for their first Big 12 tournament championship since 2006. 20 years later, the Hawks got it done. Savion Flowers, a clutch RBI, and then a walk-off home run in the absence of Brady Ballinger meant Kansas defeated Baylor in the quarterfinals 8-7. Kansas blew a 7-1 lead, but again, Flowers played hero and made sure the Hawks moved on to the semis. KU then had to beat 2 really good teams, as I spoke of, all over Oklahoma State 9-2 in the semis. And then in the championship, this is about as feel-good as it gets. Kansas over West Virginia 9-0, the team that had just swept them. The Jayhawks were still the champions, and they got to prove it in the tournament, beating West Virginia 9-0. Boede Rahe closed it out. That was fun. Of course, then we got to come back to Lawrence and watch these guys perform, and perform they very much did. Defeated Northeastern behind another strong outing from Dominic Vagley, and then Tyson LeBlanc, again, he was an absolute beast. He ends up homering in nearly every postseason game for Kansas. 6-3 over Northeastern. And then the Arkansas Demons, they are done. Kansas wins 5-3 on Saturday. They go to the regional final against the Hogs, who would have had to beat Kansas twice to advance to the Super Regional. Arkansas took the 5-3 loss, and then the next day, needing to win 2 to advance to the Super Regionals, the Hawks got up 5-0. Didn't matter. Kansas came back. They scored 11 unanswered runs including a clutch 3-run homer from Tyson LeBlanc that put Kansas ahead for good. He was certainly the MVP of this team. Hawks won 13-10. That proved to be their final win of the season. They were 45-16. Their season ends, however, at 45-18, losing to Oklahoma on Saturday 8-1, and then the resume game today that started yesterday. The Sooners got us 13-2. But again, you can go up and down. And a shout out to Cade Baldridge as well, who didn't get to play because of that injury. That was an absolute shame. And that's not nothing. Not saying that if Baldridge had played, KU would have been able to win games that they lost by scores of 8-1 and 13-2 respectively. But he was the 3-hole hitter, a great defender as well. Kansas had to plug in some guys who didn't play quite as much. And you hate that for him because he was fantastic all season. But so many talented players on this team. 341 batting average for Tyson LeBlanc. Baldridge hit 320. Mungarrieta hit 292. Bach hit 289. Dykhoff as well. He got so hot, did Josh, the last month or so of the season. Ballinger hit 283. And then all the power. 25 from Tyson LeBlanc. 17 from Mungarrieta. You had 16 homers from Dykhoff. 14 from Tyson Owens, including the one that essentially won the Big 12 in Provo for Tyson Owens. So many great players and a lot of players who will be back for Kansas seemingly next season. We're going to wish the best for the guys who will not be back and head to the MLB draft. But again, can't say enough about the job that Dan Fitzgerald has done here at KU. And looking forward to seeing what moves are made in the offseason as Kansas brings in a new batch of players that surely will be fantastic, as this group was. It all started with, I would venture to say, Dariel Osorio's walk-off grand slam against Omaha to start last season. The fans started filtering in Hoagland Ballpark. The students started becoming a beast of their own. Kansas moved the student section from the first base side above KU's dugout to the third base side where they could heckle the visitors a little bit more. And then how about hosting the regionals, packing Hoagland Ballpark, hosting the super regionals, packing Hoagland Ballpark. You had the backyard and left field. You had the bleachers going up in right field, nearly doubling capacity for Hoagland. A great job. And again, can't wait to see the future of KU baseball, not just in terms of the guys they bring in, the culture, the talent they have, but expansion of Hoagland Ballpark, the baseball facilities to try to keep this thing best of the best. Big 12 champions. These guys are remembered as winners always. KU baseball, first conference title in 77 years, first tournament title in 20 years. First time ever hosting a regional, first time ever appearing in or hosting a super regional. What a season for KU baseball. Hey, I want to shout out our partners over at Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. While you're making your chores list, a new Mahindra tractor might need to be at the top of it. For a limited time at Heinen Repair and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment, get 0% financing for 84 months, plus cash back on select new Mahindra tractors with approved credit. Don't miss out. Offers end June 30th. For details, see Heinen Repair south of Valley Falls and Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment in Lawrence. Hey, after this, we're going to go to Allen Fieldhouse. We're going to hear from Dan Fitzgerald and some KU players as well. They fall to Oklahoma. The season ends in the Lawrence Super Regional. More coming up right here on KansasNation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. We're going to go to Allen Fieldhouse here shortly. We're going to hear from Dan Fitzgerald and the KU players as Fitz will give an opening statement, and then we'll hear from Boede, Rahe, as well as Tyson LeBlanc and Dominic Vagley. I want to tell you about our friends over at Central Bank. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. That's jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. What a blast it was covering KU baseball all season long. Their season officially ended today when Dylan Schlotterbeck fouled out to the catcher. Oklahoma got to celebrate on Hoagland Ballpark. I'm sure that'll sting for KU, who was oh so close to an appearance in the Men's College World Series for just the second time in program history. But you got to feel fantastic about the ascent of this program with Dan Fitzgerald at the helm. We're going to go and hear from a trio of Jayhawks as well as head coach Dan Fitzgerald, who gave an opening statement. Then we'll bring it back and we'll kick it to Coach Fitz as he took questions from reporters. Here are the guys a little bit earlier today at Allen Fieldhouse.
Incredible last couple weeks. I'm really proud of these guys. You know, I could break down this game and the things that went wrong yesterday and today, but I just told him after the game that I'm incredibly proud of him, and we've brought this program to a pretty special place, and it's because of who they are as baseball players, but way more who they are as men. And I couldn't be more proud of them. And my only regret is that we don't get to play more baseball together because they're a special group.
Questions for student athletes? Name, affiliation?
Thanks. Matt Tate, R1S1 Sports. For Boede and Tyson, what was that like to have to go through that last night, the reset, knowing you were going to get another chance to play, having to get your minds right, whatever it was? What was that process like for you guys?
Our attitude going into it was just, as long as we have an out left, we have a chance. And that's kind of what we were trying to preach. No matter what we came back to the score, as long as we had one out to fight with, our season was still alive.
Yeah, I think it was kind of a blessing in a sense because it was like a reset button. It was almost like starting a brand new game the next day. So it was different, but felt like it was a gift.
Yeah, and Boede, you said last week that you're a pitcher, not a closer, not a starter, nothing, just a pitcher. What was that like to get extended work today, and obviously to know last night that you could prepare that way?
Just doing whatever I could to give our team a chance. So exactly like I said, I'm just a pitcher. I'm not a closer. I'm not a starter. I'm just wherever they put me in there.
Yeah. And Dom, if you could, and any of the other two players that want to take it too, can you just talk about the moment out there in right field after the game, hugs? Obviously, season's over. You guys all know that. But what was that like, just to experience that with these guys that you've been with this whole time?
Yeah, it was good. I mean, obviously, I've been here with the coaches for all 3 years. Daniel Trumper, he was on the team my freshman year too, so it was good to see him out there. And I don't know, I mean, I hate to say it, but like it happens every year. Like the season comes to an end, and this one just happened to be like the last college season. So, I mean, it's been awesome with these guys the whole year, and I mean, it was pretty heartfelt there at the end.
Jordan Gusky, Topeka Capital Journal. For any of the players during the rain delay, what were you guys doing to stay ready or just to relax? And then when that second delay hit, did you guys think you were done and playing today, or did you think you might come back that night?
To be completely honest with you, I went in the indoor and I watched Love Island with a couple of teammates. So, yeah, that's my true, honest report.
UK or the USA?
USA.
Hey guys, Taylor Kaufman, KMBC9 in Kansas City. Wondering, for team coach, whoever wants it, when you look back on this team this season, 5 years down the road, 10 years, 15 years, what are you going to remember about this team? What's going to stick with you?
The memories outside of baseball, the memories that we had off the field, in the locker room, can't take those away no matter if you win the last game or lose the last game. It's been a special season, special players. I love every single one of the teammates that we did it with, too.
Yeah, for me, definitely just going to remember all the players and all the moments we had together. Looking into this season where we had 8 returners maybe, everybody knew and just how we came together as a team and the culture that we set. It was beautiful, and it was amazing to develop lifelong friendships with these guys.
Tyson, I know that home run you hit today probably was a little hollow, but you did look like you were enjoying yourself on the trot. Added to your record, it was a good moment in a rough weekend. How much did you enjoy taking that moment in?
Yeah, like I said, as long as we have an out left on the scoreboard, I felt like we had a chance. So rounding the bases, I thought that would be the spark that we needed, maybe get something going. Didn't work out that way, but it was a good feeling to go out with a bang.
Sure. And what do you make of their pitching and your at-bats? Not just yours, the whole team this weekend. Obviously, it was a tough weekend.
Yeah, like Fitz said, they're a special team. There's a reason they're going to Omaha. Wish them nothing but the best over there. They executed their pitches. They executed their at-bats all weekend, and kudos to them. Tip of the cap. Good luck to OU.
Can any of you players talk about yesterday in particular, but Saturday night too, when you host a super regional here for the first time and you look around the park, and were you guys able to take that in and look at the crowd and just soak that moment in and see what that was like?
It was an incredible moment to look back on home opening weekend, St. Thomas, and what the crowd looked like then, and to what we worked so hard for and what I felt like we earned getting a crowd like that. It was such an amazing feeling. It was unbelievable. I couldn't ask for a better support system with KU fans and athletics.
Henry Greenstein, Lawrence Journal World. Dom, you've been asked similar stuff before, but looking back on where it was when you started here and where you're concluding this season now, why do you think the program has been able to take such strides in these last few years to get to the point that it's at currently?
I think it's a big part of Coach Fitz and the culture that he's brought here. I think him preaching for all of us to be great teammates, it's been an incredible improvement for all of us, because my freshman year compared to now, like, our team chemistry is way better than what it was. And for us just bringing 8 guys back from last year's team, the way that we've come, it's been pretty cool.
All right, thank you, players. Appreciate you.
That's Dan Fitzgerald and KU players. The players taking the questions there, Dominic Vagley, Tyson LeBlanc, and Boede Rahe. Now we're going to go back and hear from Coach Fitz fielding questions from reporters. KU season ends in the Super Regionals here in Lawrence, falling to Oklahoma.
Always optimistic that, we're a leadoff guy away from getting on and getting something rolling. And we've scored, so late in so many games. And we have to be the greatest 8th inning scoring team in college baseball history. I mean, I swear we scored in the 8th inning of every game this year. And so there was always that belief. We just couldn't string it together. And when you're chasing runs like that, whether it's, down 8 or down whatever, you have to play for a big inning, which really limits the creativity that you can do. And not that we were ever incredibly, creative with stealing and hitting and running, but we just couldn't get into a groove. I certainly felt like we were always 1 inning away, but they just did a really good job of executing, and we just couldn't get it rolling.
What were you guys evaluating during both delays yesterday, and why was the decision made to suspend it, and do you think it had an effect on the game at all in terms of the final score?
Like, what were we evaluating in terms of moves that we would make?
No, just like in terms of why you would go with the delay, why you guys came back the first time, and then like.
Yeah, it's complicated, Jordan. I think it's the NCAA, it's ESPN, it's certainly the opinion of they get the opinion of the coaching staff, and I think I've been in multiple of these, and the coaches are always on the same page. You just want to do the best thing for your starting pitchers, so you don't have to get them up and down. You don't want to start a game and be 20 minutes in and have to shut it down. So the input that we as coaches, Coach Johnson, myself, would give would just be like, what's the window we have to play? And all signs pointed to a window after 7:30. Now, obviously, that didn't work out, but it's a tough job. Our site admin was great. Kirk Mason, he's a veteran that's been doing this for 30-some years and working with the National Weather Service and ESPN. So it's a lot, and just weather in the Midwest in June.
Did it just get too late last night to continue to play?
Yeah, and the Lightning kept setting it back. So I think we were all clear at, I want to say, 10:20, and then we had another hit at and that's when they banged it, and it was smart because there was another hit at 11:07, and then subsequent ones, and it was raining at my house at 2 in the morning, so I think they made the right call.
Jacob Webb, University Daily Canada. Coach, I know we've asked you a lot about Tyson LeBlanc over the past few weeks, but you said last week he's going to play baseball for a long time. Can you just reflect on the year he had?
Yeah, he's really special, and as a baseball guy, it was really special to be a part of watching him in his ascent. He got better every day. I 100% knew he was going to hit a home run in that last at bat because of just the way he tracks pitches and the way he sees it and the way he works at it. So, he's so fun to coach and such a great competitor, and mentally he's on a different level mentally from his peers in terms of how he goes about his work, how serious he is. Like, that's not coach speak talking about if we have one out left. Like, that is exactly who he is, and everywhere he's been, he's won, and he's going to continue to do that.
Fitz, did you just heard Boede say it was kind of a reset opportunity. Was that a message that they took themselves? Did you guys preach that as a staff to them last night when when you had that opportunity, knowing you were going to come back today?
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of preaching that goes on in June. And we've been through, and we sat through 5.5 hours at K-State and had to come back and play 4 to finish out a game. And so we've been through it a bunch. So I think they knew. There wasn't a whole lot I had to say. I think they knew it was a reset. But yeah, there was a quick message at the beginning of it and then after, and just to try to get it back on track. And 8-1 is 8-1 is doable. But yeah.
Sure. Got time for a couple more.
Yeah, and just your perspective out there in right field with the hugs and are you taking all that in? Is that emotional for the head coach that brought all these guys together? And what was that like? What did you see from those guys too, of them soaking it up?
Yeah, that's what I watching them celebrate and celebrate's the wrong word, but celebrate the friendships and the time spent. And I think the fact that they care about each other the way they do is really special. So yeah, I've got months of processing now and figuring out next steps and so there's the administrative hat and the coaching hat that's still on. But yeah, there's a human element to not want to say goodbye to a lot of those guys.
Jack Ritter, 24/7 Sports. Dom touched on how much this team, the culture, the program has changed over the years. Can you touch on how he's changed, not just as a pitcher, but as a man, as a teammate over the last few years?
Yeah, Dom's it's a trick question because Dom hasn't changed one bit from the first time I met him. He's as consistent a human being as I've ever met. He's grown a lot and just as a human being and how he works and how he goes about it and he's a big reason why when he says that the culture and the team chemistry and all that stuff is special this year. He's a big reason why because we had very few returners back and those guys were huge in bridging that.
And then you mentioned it a moment ago, but what is the next step for this program as you enter the offseason?
Well, we've come a long way in a short amount of time. I think back to 4 years ago and first it's almost 4 years on the dot and I don't think I would have said we're going to win the Big 12 regular season, win the conference tournament, host a regional, win the toughest regional in the NCAA tournament, and then host a super. That would have been not something that I would have predicted would happen in 4 years. So we've come through a lot of hard work and incredible support from our administration and my assistants, and then obviously the players are the ones who have done it. So the next step is sustainability, just like last year the step of sustainability to be in the NCAA tournament. And so I think that the hard part about this is that the carrot is always there. So I was devastated at DMAC in 2011. I thought we could win a national championship, and I was at home watching the semifinal that we should have been playing, and then Kelly said, "What are you doing, just torturing yourself?" I said, well, kind of. I said, "We should be playing." And she said, I just shouldn't talk about my family ever at this thing, but she said if you win that, then the next step is you got to repeat, and then you got to win 3 in a row. And so the carrot for me is it's a lot bigger than baseball, and it's the time, it's the experience and the journey, and this was a wild one, and one I'm incredibly grateful for, and so you just don't want it to end because I know that you don't win a national championship and then everything's fixed. Like to me, it's the journey. It's watching guys like this grow up, and it's watching guys grow in their faith, and it's all those things. So, no, I got off track there, and I brought up my family, so that's no one else's fault here. I did that, but yeah, we got to continue to build, and we'll continue to do that.
All right, thank you, Coach.
That's head coach Dan Fitzgerald a little bit earlier today. You can see the emotion, and who among us hasn't gotten a little bit emotional when we talk about our family? And certainly, I mean, he's been in it. He has been in it. February 13th against UTRGV, a baseball coach. And again, that's just a perfect microcosm of who Dan Fitzgerald is as a man, because you're a baseball coach. You're used to having routines. You're used to doing the same thing over and over, but he's also got 3 kids. He's got a family at home, and his wife, as you could tell, very supportive, and we're so happy that they're all in Lawrence, and wishing the best success for Coach Fitz, his family, and Kansas baseball in the future. It's been an unbelievable ride, and let's call it as it is. Kansas, they generally, as a fan base, will check out after March Madness, maybe go to a baseball game here or there throughout the season, and maybe go over to Rocha Ballpark and enjoy the weather, and an April softball game, anything like that. But Kansas has not been a national contender, a Big 12 contender, and a lot of these Olympic sports since Travis Goff got here. He has brought on these coaches who have had so much success. Now, Jennifer McFalls, in her 8th year, gets to the NCAA tournament for the first time for KU softball. They had not been, as a program, to the NCAA tournament since 2015. Kansas baseball, after going from 2015 to 2024 without a NCAA regional appearance, they go in back-to-back years. And, of course, this year they host a regional. They host a super regional. When you look up and down, KU volleyball continues to be on the rise as Travis Goff goes out and hires Matt Omer. Andy Derrick is on board in terms of KU rowing. Certainly Lance Leipold, a great hire from Travis Goff. So a lot has gone right for KU athletics, and Kansas is just right in the middle of everything in terms of national, I guess, whoever it is, whatever sport, you're talking about KU. That's where we're at right now. You got track and field. Of course, men's basketball is always going to be there with the 2-time national champion, Hall of Fame head basketball coach Bill Self, who did have an additional year finishing as the AP #1 team, by the way, when the tournament was canceled back in 2020. Kansas had lapped the field back then, according to Joe Lenardi. Wanted to fit that in real quick. But point is, KU baseball, they end up having their season come to a close right here in Lawrence. I think before the season, everybody would have been thrilled, absolutely on cloud 9, had we known that KU was going to be hosting a regional, a super regional. A lot of success. Bad weekend. You caught Oklahoma at a bad time, and now the offseason comes. Coach Fitz and the KU program will look to keep improving and hopefully be right back in this scenario next year, because eventually Coach Fitz is going to take this program to Omaha and to great heights here at the University of Kansas. Hey, more coming up after this as we wrap things up on Rock Chalk Sports, live on Facebook, live on YouTube, kansasnation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here at kansasnation.com. Sean Kellerman with Elijah Schmidt behind the cameras today. Shout out to Elijah for, he's been waiting around all day. That's what's been going on. I've been over at Hoagland Ballpark. We recorded something a little bit earlier today, of course, focused on the game day coverage for KU baseball as they fell to Oklahoma in the Super Regionals. But Elijah has been here and a very valued member of our team, as he's very flexible and makes sure that we get on air and get everything going. So appreciate Elijah Schmidt, who has been with us for quite some time here at Kansas Nation. Hey, Custom Lawn and Landscape, they have sponsored our KU baseball updates all season long. They continue to be a great sponsor of us here at Kansas Nation. They've got a home insect control program that helps defend your yard from pesky bugs so your pets and loved ones can enjoy the outdoors more comfortably and safely. Right now, when you sign up for the season, your first application is completely free. That's right, the first application totally free. It's a simple way to take back your backyard this spring and summer. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your free first application with a seasonal insect control program. Custom Lawn and Landscape, helping you love your lawn without the bugs. All right, Kansas City Royals are not in action tonight, but again, they had a good road trip. They won 2 series, defeating the Reds 2 of 3, defeating the Twins 3 of 4. They've had to piecemeal it. It hasn't been pretty. There have been some blown saves Even yesterday, the Royals almost blew a 5-run lead in the 9th, but it was nice seeing Lucas Urseg come in and get that 27th out. So good to see that. Now the Royals come home. What you've got is 3 against the Texas Rangers. Won't be easy tomorrow. You're going up against Nasty Nathan Eovaldi for the Rangers, but KC is better than what they showed a couple weekends ago against the Rangers at Globe Life Field. KC and the Rangers, 6:40 tonight, or Tuesday and Wednesday, rather, and then 1:10 on Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the Astros come calling before the Royals have a weird 3-game road trip at the Nats. They come back home, host the Cardinals. Speaking of weird, that's a 3-game series, but there's no game on June 20th, 18th, 19th, and 21st against the Cardinals. Then back out on the road against Tampa and the White Sox. All of a sudden, the White Sox are a team that you actually can't count up wins against. In fact, they're one of only 5 teams in the American League that has a winning record right now. So everything's been working for the franchise that recently set the single-season loss record with 121. They were an embarrassment of a franchise there, but now, like I said, they're over 500. When you take a look at the AL Central, specifically, Cleveland continues to play solid. They've been playing 500 ball for about the last week and a half, but 37-30 are the Guardians. They're 2 up on the White Sox, who are 37-31. Twins are 7 back after dropping 3 of 4 to the Royals. They are 30-37. The Tigers and the Royals have both been playing a little bit better recently. They are both 27-39. The record is not good, but the American League is not good. And again, you look at the wild card, Royals are 5.5 back. I mean, it is June 8th. We have all sorts of time as Royals fans to continue to cheer these guys on. Got a lot that they need to work through, need to make sure Bobby's okay and all that, but don't give up quite yet on the Kansas City Royals. Mentioned Knicks and Spurs tonight. Knicks are -1.5. Over-under is now 215.5. Dan would not know what to do if he were on the show today, but if it's -1.5, you just take the money line. You don't want the Knicks winning by 1 if you're backing the Knicks in this one. And the fact that you laid the 1.5, I kind of like the Spurs in this one. If you've been listening to the show over the past week, I think the Knicks have been undersold, and I certainly think that they are going to win this series. I predicted a win in Game 2. I predicted they would win this series, but I feel like the Spurs put together a performance tonight. So Spurs +1.5. And again, you look at the Spurs, you look at Wemby, 28+ points is at -118, and a double-double for Victor Wembanyama. This is how good he is and how pretty much a guarantee at a double-double he is. Double-double for Victor Wembanyama is -320. Also, Devin Vassell, 3 threes at +100. A little bit of value there on that front. I think that the young Spurs steal one at Madison Square Garden, even though everything is pointing in the Knicks' direction, and that's going to be an absolute scene in the city that never sleeps tonight. Kansas City Chiefs, they are in the news. Breaking news, according to Jordan Schultz and many sources, the Chiefs are planning to re-sign cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. Sneed, who the team traded to Tennessee back in 2024, collected 10 interceptions that season, helped the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls. I shouldn't say that season. 10 interceptions while helping the Chiefs win 2 Super Bowls during his previous tenure. This is something people have been talking about, and there's been a little bit of momentum on it. 29 years old, so he's still pretty young. And the Chiefs have kind of found a way to replace, maybe that's a strong word, Trent McDuffie. Sneed is back. He was a great player for the Chiefs when he was here. You drafted Mansour Delane early. I feel so much better about the Chiefs secondary when you get Sneed back. Of course, you lost Brian Cook as well at the safety spot. If Delane is going to be that lockdown corner, which everything after he was drafted points in the direction of him being that, everybody says they expected him to be a guy who starts and is that lockdown corner right away, then you feel good about having a wily veteran and Sneed on the other side. So again, I'll have more on this tomorrow. We'll ask Nick Springer from the Kansas City Sports Network, as he will be here in studio to join me for a couple segments tomorrow about this addition, because that's a big deal. The secondary was, in my mind, the biggest question mark for the Chiefs moving forward into the 2026 season. Getting Sneed back is absolutely massive. They developed this kid. They had him on his rookie deal. They traded him when it was time to pay him, and then they got the value back, and now they're getting Sneed back as well. So you feel a lot better about that. Of course, at the safety positions, you've got Alohi Gilman and Shamari Connor as well. So those guys perhaps need to prove themselves a little bit more. But so does Delane, a rookie, and L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback for the Chiefs. That is absolutely huge. Again, won 2 Super Bowls, did Sneed, when he played in Kansas City from 2020 to 2023. All right, later this week, Rock Chalk Sports, we're going to break down all sorts of stuff. We're going to have Royals talk, Chiefs talk. The World Cup starts this week. The one thing we won't have is Dan Courtwright. He is on his honeymoon in Cancun, probably on a beach right now. He may be asleep by now. I think he went to the airport at like 3 a.m., so he could be calling it a night. I just hope that he doesn't go too hard on the first night and then wake up tomorrow complaining about how he's not going to be able to vacation day 2. But I'll be confident that he's growing up, as he is indeed right now a married man. But we'll have all that. We'll have NBA talk. We'll mix in some NHL talk. Nick Springer, Henry Greenstein, David Lawrence, Shreyas Latta, David Lesky, all sorts of guests coming up. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in on Rock Chalk Sports. Again, Elijah Schmidt is our technical director. We'll be with you all week. Can't wait to continue to give you the best coverage of all things KU. Tomorrow we'll be on air from 4 to 6. Appreciate everybody listening. For Elijah, Sean Kellerman saying we'll see you soon on KansasNation.com.